If anyone has anything they'd like to share, please feel free to do that. And of course, since we are going to do query resolution, so if you want to start putting in your questions in the chat, please feel free to do that. I'll be answering all your questions. Okay, we are live. So hi everyone, welcome to this Saturday session of the Web3 course. And this is the first time we're meeting for this particular batch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by answering your questions. And then depending upon the audience, we'll also do a live quiz. So right now I'd like to begin with answering your questions. So feel free to type them in here. And some questions which I've already received, I'll start answering those. So one question a lot of people ask me is about CBDC. So a lot of you are hearing about something called central bank digital currencies. Now, many people feel that a CBDC is like a cryptocurrency and you can hope to make 10 and 20 times your money. It's absolutely not like that. CBDC is just like e-money, which exists today, the fiat currency which the governments issue. It's just that it's in a different format. So today when we look at e-money, right? So you may be having money in your mobile wallets and apps and other things. What that means is that that is legal tender issued by the government of your country, but it is being held in the private databases of the banks. And that's how the whole system operates. So which is why when you move money from one person's account to another, effectively it's moving from one private database into another. Now in a CBDC, you don't have to have these private databases being run by banks. You could have the central bank of the country, for example, Reserve Bank of India, that would be running this on its own technology platform. So for all practical purposes, it's the same money that exists today. The value of that is not going to go 10 times up and down because it's just your regular fiat currency. And in all probability, most countries are not going to use blockchain to run it. It's a very common misconception that people have that CBDC is a blockchain use case. Not at all. Blockchains actually do not add any value to a scenario where it is one single entity issuing an asset. So when it is only the central government or the central bank issuing a currency, blockchain adds zero value to it. And that's the reason you will not find central banks using blockchain technology for their CBDCs. Is that answer clear? I hope all of you are able to easily hear and see me. Can you give me a quick yes so that I know that you all can hear and see me? Awesome. So I hope that answered your question about CBDC. Next question, whatever you guys have in mind. Okay, this is going to be, any discussion on Flipkart and Polygon partnership? So Kavita, no, there's nothing really much to discuss in that. So what we've got to understand is we see a lot of real world companies like right from Porsche, which is issuing its own NFTs, to Disney, which is issuing NFTs. A lot of them are now tying up with various blockchains. And most of these tie-ups are happening with the Polygon network. So they are then going to use that particular network to hopefully create these assets and other things like NFTs. But again, the point that I keep coming back to is there a use case? So are people actually ready to pay for these kinds of NFTs? So I'm not sure exactly what Flipkart is doing. Kavita, if you would like to add some information on that. Is that also an NFT use case that they're doing? I'll wait for you to give me feedback on that. Could we have another question in the meanwhile? No NFT. Okay, so Abhishek, what exactly is the use case about? Does all nodes in a blockchain have complete ledger from inception? Will not be a used data? Parag, that's a very interesting question. So if you recall in one of the posts that was there, is there in part of your course, all blockchain nodes do not have all the data. So blockchain nodes are of many different types. So there are the full archival nodes, there are lightning nodes, there are all sorts of nodes, right? So some nodes maintain all the data, and then depending upon the function, other nodes may or may not have that much of data. So there are various types of it. Regarding your question about does the data size get big? Yes, it does. Although you must remember blockchains are not built for data storage as a use case. So usually the kind of data that's there in the blockchain is going to be addresses and then transactions. So basically it's a ledger of transactions. Now, where there are transactions, there is also a little bit of metadata, data about those transactions. But yes, over a period of time, it does get large. So Bitcoin's data is already over 100 GB. I don't know exactly what the number is right now, but yes, over a period of time, it does get large. So whenever you start a node for the first time, if you're running a full archival node, then obviously you would first download the entire chain, all the data going back to block 0, and then you would begin with the newer data. If you're running light nodes, then it doesn't have so much of data. So it all depends a lot about what kind of use case you're running, and that's what kind of a node you're actually using. Okay, I think the tag they're going to use is blockchain. Okay, so I'm not sure what exactly the Flipkart use case is, so I wouldn't be able to really comment on that. But a lot of the use cases nowadays do speak about NFTs. In fact, I wanted to know from you guys, are you guys very keen on NFTs? Anybody here in the audience who actually buys NFTs or thinks there is some kind of a future value to those? Personally, I'm not very convinced with most of them because they don't make sense to me. Although I'll be very honest with you, I am a stamp collector. So there are some governments which have now started to come out with postage stamps which have a digital twin. That means you can buy the stamp from them in the real world, and then each stamp comes with some kind of a QR code or some way of connecting it to the blockchain, and there you can authenticate your ownership of it. Now that kind of stuff sounds cool to me. So if you're a collector, maybe it makes sense. So Abhishek has bought some NBA NFTs. Okay. Kavita says India isn't ready for NFTs. So I would say it's got a lot to do with the use case. I'm not convinced with digital art NFTs, but some people seem to be really happy about them. I'm more convinced with the collectible kind of an NFT. Ritesh says only when connected with a real world asset. Sure. So a lot of times NFTs could actually relate to real world assets like even gold and silver, or maybe cars, or so many other kinds of things. So that may make sense to some people. Let me just answer the next question. Give me a second. So someone talks about a post I shared on Instagram about crypto market fall will affect develop. Yeah, that's a very good question, Ashwin. So crypto is definitely over, right? I mean, in its current avatar, I would say. So if you look at crypto, we can actually divide it into 3 sections, the life cycle so far. So one is, I could say, when Bitcoin started and say till about the 2017 ICO bust. That we could say was the first level. Then came the second level after the ICO bust till I would say 2022. And that's where now I would say with all the kind of disasters that are happening, now we are probably going to move to the third phase. And in the third phase, we are probably going to see a lot of emphasis on the use case. So you cannot just come out with a random crypto anymore, like a Shiba Inu or a Dogecoin, which honestly doesn't really have a solid use case. So I think we are going to see that coming in. Now, as a blockchain developer, there's something very important for you to remember. In fact, let me ask you guys this question. Do we need crypto for blockchain? Can we imagine blockchain without cryptocurrencies? What do you guys think? Give me a yes if you think we can have blockchain use cases without crypto. I'm waiting for more answers. Okay. Okay, so it's kind of like most of you say we can. I would say yes, we can in the conventional sense. That means that you do not need to have a cryptocurrency or a gas fee related crypto. That's not mandatory. But ultimately, you have to realize that there has to be an incentive for people to run nodes. Now, as long as that incentive is there built in somewhere, it doesn't have to come through the blockchain nodes. It doesn't have to come through crypto. So for example, when Bitcoin started, the whole logic was that we would need people to run nodes. These people are going to spend a lot of energy, computational power to validate transactions. How do you motivate them? So you give them Bitcoin, and that's why new Bitcoins are being created. And those initially go to miners, and that's their incentive. Now, if you are looking at a scenario where entities have other incentives, like let's say a group of banks get together and run a payment system, they're going to make huge money from the payment system. They don't need a small amount of transaction fee for that. They may have their own revenue models. So in that case, you may not need it. However, if you're going to use a public blockchain, you would need to pay gas fee, and there you would need that it to be paid in terms of the native crypto. So when you use an Algorand, you need an algo. You run on Cardano, you need ADA. So then we have Lightning system, for example, the Lightning network in Bitcoin that reduces the cost of this to bare minimum. Or you have things like Polygon, which makes Ethereum very fast and very cheap. So that kind of negates the need for a lot of crypto. And definitely you can have use cases without it also. So don't worry so much if you're a developer, there are lots and lots of opportunities. However, as you know, the tech world is right now undergoing one of its typical cycles. A lot of people are losing jobs. So that's happening across. But don't worry so much about the crypto prices as regards to your blockchain developer job. I don't really foresee much of a problem with that. Let me look at some other questions. Hold on. Uganda says the country Tuvalu is going to create itself in the metaverse. Yeah, it's very unfortunate that because of global warming, Tuvalu may not exist in the future. In fact, this is a very interesting country. When domain names were first assigned, they got .tv because of their name Tuvalu. And then they sold the rights to .tv to an American startup, which actually pays them more than their GDP and then sells .tv domains to the entertainment sector. So now Tuvalu is again trying to reinvent itself on the metaverse because they may not exist in a few decades from now. Although I'll be very honest, metaverse is again a very big disaster because I've been using it since the early 2000s when Second Life was the only metaverse there. And honestly, I don't see today's metaverses looking any much better than what they used to. So I'm not really very convinced about the future of most of the metaverse platforms. Then we have a question from Ajay. How do we ascertain the value of an NFT? That's a good question. So if it's relating to a collectible, so now collectibles are completely valued based upon the person connecting it, right? So I'll give you an example. Many years ago, Mahatma Gandhi's spectacles were auctioned. I mean, I'm talking about the Mahatma Gandhi's actual specs that he used to wear, right? Now, when something like that comes for an auction, my question is, how do you decide the value? It is completely an emotional decision, right? So I'm a big fan of him. So I bid about 1 lakh, and this was decades ago. And I think Vijay Mallya won it for 8 lakh rupees. So there was no logic for me to bid 1 lakh or him to bid 8 lakhs. So it's completely based on your emotion and what you feel it should be worth. However, once a collectible is priced publicly like this, then you can start to add a reasonable amount of return every year. So that's kind of how it works in the collectible worlds. But when it comes to things like digital collectibles, because of the fact that you can create as many of them, I don't think we can apply the law of scarcity here. So I find it very difficult to price NFTs, and that's the reason I stay really far away from them. Let me look at another question. So a non-tech background roadmap in blockchain. So that's an interesting question from Meet. So if you are not from the tech background, then this may not be the suitable course for you. I have a lot of other stuff like token economics and all. Maybe you could have a look at that. So in the non-tech world for blockchain, I think token economics is going to be the next big thing because there are going to be a lot of projects that are going to raise money from the blockchain ecosystem. But now they need their token economics designed in a very different fashion. So I won't be able to go much deeper into that in this session, Meet, because this is on the tech part. Maybe in another session, I'll go deeper into this. Ritesh wants to know my view on Hyperledger Fabric. I'm not a fan and I've never been a fan of that. So there are a lot of very good open source blockchain frameworks out there. In fact, you could even take Ethereum and download it and run your own private network or your own public network of Ethereum. I didn't really like blockchain Hyperledger Fabric too much. I'm not a big fan. I feel there are a lot of better options when it comes to making permissioned or your own networks. Parag says Bitcoin is layer 1. What is layer 0 for Bitcoin? So Parag, layer 1 are blockchain networks that can settle transactions on their own. They do not need any other network, right? So Bitcoin is an example. It settles on its own. Something like Polygon would be an example of layer 2 because it needs layer 1 Ethereum mainnet to validate and close transactions. Layer 0 is one step below, where I think an example would be Cosmos or Avalanche, I think also, where you can use Avalanche to create your own blockchains. So Avalanche kind of becomes like a layer 0, and then you create layer 1 on top of it. So that's an example. So Bitcoin doesn't have a layer 0, right? Ajay wants to know how CBDC is different from crypto. So Ajay, like I started the session with that, CBDC, central bank digital currency issued by the government, crypto issued by private parties. CBDC does not run on blockchains, doesn't need blockchains. Crypto cannot run without blockchains. Value of CBDC is fixed because it's the government issued fiat. Cryptos can move up and down. So those are the broad three biggest differences between CBDCs and crypto. Prakash wants to know which crypto would be good for taking fees for services. So Prakash, that's obviously dependent a lot about who you're taking it from, because different cryptos are popular in different countries. At a time when I used to, in fact, even now I do take fees in crypto at times. So I usually go with stable coins like USDC, USDT, although I'm a little apprehensive about the future of Tether. But as of right now, stable coins are usually the way people take it. Some people also take Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, or Litecoin for that. Totally up to you. Atul wants to know, are there any solutions which can save huge data of individual users and connect it to a blockchain? So no, what happens, Atul, you have to remember blockchains are not made to handle large amounts of data. They're just not made for that use case. Because just imagine you have GBs of data being replicated across nodes. Now, if Facebook was to say, I'll start storing all the data on a blockchain, it makes zero sense. Like a lot of people talk about using blockchain powered social networks. Well, even in those scenarios, the actual data uploaded by customers is not going to go on a blockchain. That could go on to Web3 decentralized storage systems. You know, we have projects like Arweave and IPFS and Filecoin. That's where you store the data. You don't actually store heavy data on the blockchain. Blockchain is supposed to do one thing and one thing only: distributed ledger. So that's where you can store keys, addresses, and a ledger of transactions. The data is supposed to be off-chain, which is why when you look at NFTs, right, you will see that the images, videos, or anything which relates to the NFT is always going to be off-chain, and it is the main contract and a little bit of metadata that actually goes on-chain. Never forget that. Blockchain has only one use case, and that is the ledger, not the actual data storage, right? Let me take another question. Uganda wants to know which are the better alternatives to hyperledger fabric. So Uganda, it would depend a lot on what you're trying to do. I mean, like what kind of use case you have in mind, but I prefer to use a framework called multi-chain. That is a fork of Bitcoin Core, and on top of that, there's a very nice API layer. I find that as one of the best alternatives if you want to build your own chain out. Yeah. 1 minute. I have a question from Roshan. Cryptocurrency is good future. Well, to be very honest here, I don't think so. I think the current form of crypto, all the economic models have kind of failed. So I think we're going to see a completely new version of token economics coming up. Parag wants to know, USDT is backed by US dollars. Why not buy US dollars directly? Parag, because it's a little difficult to do that if you're not an American. So if you're in America, you have a bank account, you obviously deal in the dollars. But what happens to people in other countries? Buying dollars is not that easy. So what Tether does is it makes it easy for you to buy the dollars. And more importantly, even if you buy dollars in your bank account, they cannot communicate with the blockchain because the banking system and the blockchain system are not connected to each other. They're different. Now, how do you on-ramp people onto the blockchain and off-ramp them? That is where stable coins like Tether and USDC come into the picture. So that is their role. If you are a normal investor looking to invest in the dollar, use your bank and buy it and keep it. But if you want to use the US dollar for crypto, that is when you need stable coins like Tether. Somebody wants to know, do you recommend to go with paid Web3 development bootcamp? So whenever it comes to education, it doesn't matter whether it's free or paid. I don't charge for the Web3 course which I run. It doesn't matter whether they're charging you or not. What you've got to understand, what is it that they're teaching you? And it should be practical in nature. So if you're going to learn practical stuff and you're going to build some things out, then yes, it makes a lot of sense to do any particular course. I'm not really getting into whether it's free or paid. That doesn't really make so much of a difference. Jagdish wants to know how much CTC a blockchain developer gets in India. Tough question to answer because usually you may be hired by startups based in other countries. So there are platforms like web3.career and they've listed all the salaries of different levels. So whether you are junior, middle level, senior, all sorts of jobs in this industry, you'll be able to get the salaries there. I in fact even did a video on that separately some time ago. You could have a look at it or just go on to sites like web3.career. Roshan wants to know, is crypto safe for all? No, not at all. So we are seeing far too many scams. to give you just a couple of examples, on Uniswap, which is the most popular decentralized exchange, somebody did a research and proved that about 95% of the projects are scams. And all the major crypto projects that we see today, they've all fallen by 70 to 90% from their all-time highs. So I would say most people have lost tremendous amounts of money on it. And I feel that even now it's not over. Things are going to get worse. And you're probably going to see more crashes coming. I think Ethereum, Binance, a lot of these are also going to have trouble now, including Tether. So I would be very apprehensive about looking at the crypto market. I think we have to completely change the way we look at that. Prakash said in your latest blog, you wrote Binance will also see a disastrous future. Please give some light on this. So Prakash, I'm going to write a little bit more about this, but I feel there's a lot of losses that they are also going to be booking, which are not really disclosed as of right now. So I'll be writing more in detail about this. Akash wants to know how to get blockchain or Web3 job, because every company wants an experienced developer. That's a very good question, Akash. So it's like, everybody wants experience, but if they don't give you the job, how do you get the experience? Now, that is where it is important for you in whatever course you're doing to do a practical building. So in the course that I also run, in I think 24th, 25th December, we are going to do a live project where all of you will actually build a live application. Now, once you've built that application, that's experience, because then you will be able to answer questions better in your interview. And even the company hiring you realizes that you actually have some kind of practical this thing. So the only way is you need to build something. So one option is you could take the source code of any of the open source projects, fork it, make slight tweaks to it, and run it. That shows that you have the capability to do that. So either do it on your own or then join a course where that is going to be covered. But yes, you do need to do some practical development. That's really, really critical. Ashwin has a similar problem, difficult to get jobs for freshers. Do you think companies continue to follow this aspect, and what we could do to land our first job as a fresher? So like I always say, first step is to build something practically. So learn, then build something, and then tell the world about yourself. Now, a lot of people don't regularly post on LinkedIn. Why not? It doesn't cost you anything. But if you have experience building something, talk about it. That's how the world gets to know that you know what you're talking about. You've got practical experience. Build your community. I mean, today, LinkedIn is one of the most important platforms for any budding developer also to get noticed in the industry. So step one, learn. Step two, build something practical. Step three, start building your social network. So if you can attend physical events and meetups, that's amazing. Please do that, depending on the city you're based in. If in your city you can't do that, try to attend virtual events or try to travel for events, because you have to network. Once you are able to do that, then only you will be able to move forward in this. Roshan knows, do you know Hindi? Yes, Roshan, I know Hindi, but unfortunately, this session has people from a lot of non-Hindi speaking areas. That's the reason this is an English session only. Once in a while, I do Hindi sessions also. Maybe you could join those. Prakash wants to know, I want to tell you that I got internship as a blockchain developer by, oh, Prakash, that's so nice to hear. And please put that on LinkedIn also so that more people come to know. But I'm really happy for you that you got an internship because of our course. Amazing. All the best, Prakash. And I hope you land an amazing job after that. Jagdish says top blockchain companies, startups in India who hire blockchain developers. Again, Jagdish, the best place to find these guys is on LinkedIn. Almost anybody who's hiring is going to post the job on LinkedIn. So I would say that's where you could find them. And again, web3.career has a lot of such hundreds of jobs from across the world that are put up there. So yes, you definitely can get a job, but it's not easy, right? You've got to understand that there are a lot of developers competing. And I also believe that you're going to see a lot of competition from established developers who also learn Web3. So if you are just Web3 and they are like established developers with Web3 knowledge and capability, obviously your job gets tougher. So you have to bear that in mind also. Kavita wants to know whether we have a certificate for Web3 developer. Yes, Kavita, we do. Let's look at Akash's question. What skills you look for to hire a developer if you hire somebody? Sure. So now I would obviously look for people who have expertise in the blockchain frameworks that I'm building on. So for example, in my case, we usually build on multi-chain framework. So I look for people with experience in Bitcoin Core or multi-chain. So similarly, every company or startup is going to use its own frameworks. So whichever one they're using, they look for expertise in that. Secondly, they also look for people who can handle API integration. So when you use blockchain APIs, it doesn't matter which blockchain you use. It doesn't matter what language you're using. Blockchain APIs connect almost all blockchains to all programming languages. So you must have knowledge of blockchain APIs also. And thirdly, of course, different startups build using different software languages. So if I'm building on JavaScript or Node.js and you know Ruby on Rails, but you don't know Node.js, for example. So in that case, it may not be a good fit. So these are the kind of factors that they are going to look for. Roshan says my LinkedIn account is restricted. Will it open or not? Roshan, I have zero clue about this, so you'll probably have to speak to LinkedIn has a support. You could ask them why they've restricted your account. Only they would be able to answer that question. Are there any other questions you guys have? I have a quiz coming up, so don't go away before that. We'll do a quiz very shortly. It's got 20 questions and it's going to be a very nice, interesting live quiz, and we're going to see who wins that. So we'll just start that in a few minutes once I answer some more questions. Prakash wants to know, Internshala is best for developers with little or no experience. Just make at least 3 projects and talk about them in detail. Prakash, that's a very good point that you've made. In fact, I would recommend, why don't you write a LinkedIn post on this, telling people about this experience of yours, and maybe other people will start using Internshala. In the past, I do remember hiring interns from there. So yeah, it's a lovely platform. I think it's restricted to India. I don't know now, maybe they have international reach also. But yeah, Internshala is a good platform. I have used it in the past. And I'm happy to hear you also found it useful. Do you guys have any other questions? Okay. I'm going to be sharing my screen with you guys, and you'll be able to then, give me a second. Okay. Okay, I hope you guys can see my screen. Right. So give me a quick yes if you are able to see my screen. Awesome. So now what I want you guys to do is, you could just either scan the QR code, or you could go to this URL on your phone. It's ahaslides.com/ROHAS1. So either scan or then go to this URL. I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to do that. So we are going to take this quiz where it's going to be total of 20 questions. And at the end, after each question, I'll give you a quick overview of what exactly that was. So yeah, sure, Ritesh, let me ping the link to you. Give me a second. ahaslides.com/1. Yeah, okay. Keshav has already pinged that. Thanks, Keshav. So I'm hoping by now most of you have. Okay. Hold on. Okay. Now you guys can join the quiz. So all you need to do is enter a name. Please enter an authentic name so that we can identify you if you're one of the winners. So I can see you guys are beginning to join. I'll give you guys a little more time. And once enough of you have joined in, then we'll start off with the quiz. So like I was saying, there are going to be 20 questions. And at the end of each question, I'll just explain briefly what that point was about, because I'm hoping the quiz is also a way to learn something new. And then every 5 questions, it will show us the updated leaderboard. And at the end of 20 questions, we'll see who the winners are. And then Vivan, if you can pull the winners up online and we can have a short chat with them. So I'm going to give you guys a minute or two to join in. If you guys are facing any difficulty joining in, just ping us. Vivan will be able to help you out. Although it's fairly simple, there's no problem connecting. So Someone's put the link also. It's ahaslides.com/ROHAS1. Akash, I don't know. Maybe you'll have to re-log into that. I haven't seen that option. Let me check. I didn't realize it actually asked that option. Let me check. Vivan, do you have an idea how that can be changed? I don't think it has a gender. Let me try. No, I don't know. I don't see that option here. Oh, okay. So it's some picture which is there. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't know how to sort that. Okay. Should I start off? I mean, I can see that 23 of you have joined in, but there are a lot more people on the call. So I'm guessing the rest of you are going to listen to it. Absolutely. Most welcome. So I'm going to be starting the quiz off. And the first question is going to be landing up on your screen. Hold on. Okay. So question number 1. And the faster you answer, the more points you get. The question is, why do blockchains not have a single point of failure? And you will see options. 1 is they use hash functions. 2, they are installed on hardened operating systems. 3, they have multiple nodes. And 4, they use Merkle trees. So you got to choose the correct answer. The question is, why do blockchains not have a single point of failure? And remember, the faster you answer, the more points you get. You just have to pick one question. You have about 13 seconds to go. So do they use hash functions and that's why they don't have a single point of failure, or they are installed on hardened OSs, or they have multiple nodes, or they use Merkle trees? And the answer coming up on your screen, absolutely right. So I can see a vast majority if you got it right. So blockchains do not have a single point of failure because they have multiple nodes. So the logic being, because there are multiple nodes, all the nodes need to go down at the same time for the blockchain to actually go down. And that is the reason we are very apprehensive about blockchains like Solana, where regularly we see that the chain is down, which means either they don't have too many nodes or there's something really wrong with the tech, because even if few nodes go down, the blockchain is not supposed to go down. So awesome. I'm happy most of you got that right. Let me go on to the next question. Question 2 coming up on your screens now. Proof of work was originally created for which of these? Right? The options coming up: Bitcoin transactions, generating Merkle trees, reducing email spam, or securing digital signatures. So what was proof of work originally developed for? I mean, what was the use case that the developers had in mind? Was it Bitcoin transaction? Was it generating Merkle trees? Was it reducing email spam? Or was it securing digital signatures? You have about 16 seconds to go. And like I said, the faster you answer, the more points you get. So I'll give you guys a few seconds to think about the answer. And the answer coming up for you. Again, I'm so happy a majority of you got that right. So proof of work was originally not made for Bitcoin. In fact, it predates Bitcoin. So proof of work came out somewhere in the 1990s, whereas Bitcoin came much, much later. And the primary use case at that time was to reduce email spam. So because it's very easy for a spammer to click a button and send out millions of emails, what proof of work wanted to do was force the sender to do some mathematical calculations and thereby slow down the rate at which they can send out spam emails. So that was the original case. Unfortunately, that didn't pick up much, but the Bitcoin platform adopted proof of work. Awesome. Let's go to the next question. Question number 3. Which of the following results in old and new blockchains existing together? Very simple question. Is it a hard fork, medium fork, private fork, or soft fork? It's really, really simple. So I hope you guys crack it in no time, but I'll still give you 45 seconds for it. So there are different kinds of forks. Some of the names here are not the correct names at all, but which of these results in an old and new blockchain existing together after the fork has taken place. Hard, medium, private, or soft? Yes, I can see a lot of laughing emojis. So many of you found that question really simple. I hope all 100% of you get it right. And coming up on your screen. Okay, awesome. Most of you got it right. It is a hard fork. So in a soft fork, we do a small software upgrade. So even if you don't upgrade, you're still part of the chain. However, in a hard fork, it's a major change. And if you're not part of it, you're part of another blockchain. So a classic example would be when Ethereum split into two and became ETH and ETC. ETH being the Vitalik's one and ETC being Ethereum Classic, and then Bitcoin forked into Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, and then so many others came in. So that's what we mean by a hard fork. Next question. The Bitcoin white paper defines electronic coins as a chain of addresses, digital signatures, hashes, or transactions. So if you've seen my video on the Bitcoin white paper or you've read the Bitcoin white paper, you would immediately know the answer. So according to the Bitcoin white paper, electronic coins are a chain of addresses, digital signatures, hashes, or transactions. Now, here chances are a lot of you are going to get it wrong, because what seems to be the obvious one is not the obvious answer. That's the only hint I can give you. But anyway, I hope most of you get this right. So electronic coins are a chain of, and there we're going to see the answer. Oh, okay. Most of you didn't get that right. So like I said, it may seem very obvious that it is a chain of transactions, but no, it's not. It's a chain of digital signatures, because, and that is why your private key is very important. That's why, if someone gets your private key, they own your crypto, because your private key is the only way in which you can digitally sign a transaction to move your crypto out. So when you put your crypto on a centralized exchange, they have the private key. Or when someone gets your private key, they are able to digitally sign. And that's why that's a very critical thing. And well, very, very few got that right, but awesome. So let's have a look at, okay, question 5, and then we'll have a look at the leaderboard. Which of the following is not true in proof of work? Okay, please remember, not true, or which is false. Miners solve mathematical problems. Miners need a lot of computational power. Miners spend a lot on energy, or miners lock tokens for validation rights. Only one of these is wrong. The others are correct. Very simple question. I hope all of you get that right. So you got to pick which is the wrong one or the false one. I can see lots of laughing emojis and thumbs up. So awesome. I'm guessing most of you are going to get that right. Very simple question. So there's only one of these options which is false. And you're going to see the answer now. Awesome. So almost everybody got this right. So in proof of stake, you need to lock your tokens for validation rights. But in proof of work, you solve mathematical problems, and for that you need a lot of computational power and energy. Let's have a look at the leaderboard. Awesome. So Atul Menon K is leading right now with 360 points. Awesome, Atul, but there's a long way to go. Keshav is very close second with 356. Aman is again very close with 351. Uganda is just a point below at 350, and Ritesh 339. But don't worry about it. If you are not in the top 5 yet, we've just finished the first quarter. So there's a long way to go. 15 more questions coming up. All the best. And remember, the faster you answer, the more points you get. Let's go to question number 6. Hash functions are used to create blockchain addresses, prove ownership, and verify the integrity of the blockchain. Now, a hash function is not. What is it not? Is it not a one-way function? Is it not deterministic? Is it not irreversible? Is it not random? I'll be honest, this is a slightly tough question. So please take your time thinking about it. Again, the obvious answer may not be the right one. You know what a hash function is. It's one of the most critical things in the blockchain world. In fact, in the most of the cyber security of the world depends a lot on hash functions. So a hash function is not which of these 4? Tough question. I expect a lot of you to get it wrong. But anyway, let's see what the answer is. So Well, it's not random. And let me explain what that means. A hash function is not a random string, right? A hash function is a mathematical formula. It's considered one way because you can start from plain text and go to the hash, but reversing it is not computationally feasible. And because we are using a particular mathematical formula which is fixed, and that's the reason we say it is not random. It is determined by a particular algorithm. Let's go to the next one. Question number 7 coming up. What represents the number of transactions per second that a blockchain consensus algorithm can process? Is it called fault tolerance threshold? Is it called latency? Is it called scalability? Or is it called throughput? So, which of these 4 terms represents the number of transactions per second, or the TPS, of a blockchain consensus algorithm? And by the way, I just wanted to confirm, I hope you guys can hear me clearly. I hope you can hear me reading out the questions clearly. Awesome. By the way, am I also visible during this time? In one corner, do you see me? Awesome. Okay. Let's have a look at this answer. Slightly tough question again. I hope you guys get it. Okay, amazing. Majority of you have it right. So throughput, right? Scalability is a concept which represents how a blockchain can scale. Fault tolerance is how much of errors it can handle. But yes, throughput is the right answer here. Amazing. Most of you got that right. Let's move on to question 8, and we're reaching the halfway mark very soon. Which type of blockchain nodes reduce the load on the network by enabling off-chain transactions? Is it authority nodes, lightning nodes, master nodes, or mining nodes? So we know there are various types of nodes. Now this particular type of nodes, the speciality is, or the use case is, to reduce the load on the network by enabling off-chain transactions. Now chances are you've heard about it, and in the discussion we had before the quiz, I did speak about one of these kinds of nodes. Authority, master nodes, mining nodes, or lightning nodes. Actually, the name should also give it to you. The name's a little obvious, right? And the answer coming up, awesome. Most of you got it right. Lightning node. So it's lightning fast, right? And we were also talking about the lightning network on Bitcoin, which makes Bitcoin transactions fast and cheap. So yes, you're absolutely right. Lightning was the answer. I'm happy most of you got it right. Let's move on to question number 9. In Bitcoin, which is the number that a block hash must be below for the block to be added to the blockchain? Is that called difficulty, hash of block, hexadecimal, or target? Again, if you watched my videos or read the courseware of this course, you would have the answer instantly. Which is this number, right? Below which the block hash must be there. So block hash is also a number, and this is also a number, and the block hash has to be below it. Only then it will get added to the blockchain. Is it called difficulty? Is it called hash of block? Is it called hexadecimal? Or is it called target? It's fairly simple. Let's hope all of you get that right. And the answer coming up on your screen is target. So, okay, a lot of you didn't get that right, but no problem. Let's move on to the next one. Now, the 10th question, after which we are going to see the leaderboard, and we are at halfway mark. Record keeping methods are used by blockchains to determine the provenance and ownership of coins in the network. Now, Ethereum uses account balance model, or double entry model, or hybrid model, or UTXO model. Which of these do you think it uses? So again, if you've seen the video on Bitcoin white paper, you know, and this is a very, very important concept, because actually this is what determines a lot of the very important things in the performance of a blockchain, about which record keeping method it follows, because ultimately blockchains are a ledger of transactions. So one of these 4, of course, is not even true, but let's see what the right answer is, and I'll explain all of them to you after that. Awesome, majority got that right. So account balance model is like, you know, when you use a debit or credit card and you make your payment. So suppose you're buying something for 330, your debit card will pay 330, and it's simple. That's called account balance. UTXO, on the other hand, is what Bitcoin does. So it may actually, suppose you want to make a transaction of 300 rupees. Now imagine 305. Imagine you give a 500 rupee note and you get your change back. That's how Bitcoin works. And that's what we call as UTXO. So it is similar to spending cash. Then there is hybrid model, which things like Cardano use. And double entry actually doesn't exist in the blockchain world. It's in the conventional world of accounting. I hope that's clear to all of you. Let's have a look at the leaderboard. Awesome. So I think, oh, there have been some changes. That's amazing. So now we have Uganda leading with 664 points. That's amazing. We have SSC. So I don't know who that is. That's a abbreviation. You're close at 605. Atul is now third at 597. Keshav fourth at 540. PRK at 510. Don't worry if you're not there in the top 5. We still have 10 questions to go. So let's move on. Moving on, we have question 11. In a Bitcoin block header, hash Merkle root is a 256-bit hash based on what? All the transactions in the block, hash of the previous block, current target in compact form, or current block timestamp. Now I know the question is getting a little tough, but hey, we are in the last few questions now. And again, we've covered all these concepts in the video on the Bitcoin white paper. So I hope you guys remember the answer. In a Bitcoin block header, there is a field called hash Merkle root. Now that's a 256-bit hash. What is it based on? Is it based on all the transactions in that particular block, hash of the previous block header, current target in compact form, or current block timestamp? And the answer is fairly simple actually, now that I think about it. And amazing, a majority of you kind of got it right. So yes, it is obviously based on all the transactions of the block. And that's how one block knows that the block, which block came before it. That's because all the transactions in the block are what are hashed. And that's what becomes the Merkle root. And then that goes into the block header. Yep. Let's go to the next one. Question number 12. In which of these consensus mechanisms do miners have to prove that they are using space to store replicas of data and the data can be easily accessed? So is it delegated proof of stake, proof of elapsed time, proof of replication, or proof of space time? So while I think it's quite easy for you to throw out two options, you're going to get a little confused between two options which kind of seem to fit in. So all of these are consensus mechanisms. Come on, I don't want to see those shocked smileys. This is an easy, I mean, you've done this in the course video, right? So there are quite a few consensus algorithms we studied in that, including these. So, oh, awesome. Majority of you got it right. It is proof of replication. So as you can see that you could have guessed it from the word replica there, although space-time may have confused you a little bit, but awesome. Majority got it right. Let's go to the next one. Question 13. We'll see the leaderboard in two more questions. In which consensus mechanism, very easy, is the energy invested by miners used for calculations that benefit public scientific research projects? Proof of work, proof of meaningful work, hybrid proof of work, or delayed proof of work? Come on, you can easily guess this. Yes, and I can see a lot of laughing emojis coming. Very, very easy. Just look at the names and you'll obviously understand which one it is. So it is some kind of a consensus algorithm where the energy invested by miners also does some calculations benefiting public research projects like cancer research, astronomical research. Pretty easy to guess. And I hope everyone got that right. Okay, so vast majority did, and the answer is proof of meaningful work. Pretty simple to guess. Question 14 coming up. We're 2 questions away from the next leaderboard. What receives one type of crypto, locks it as a deposit, and then mints an equal amount of another crypto? Is it a blockchain bridge, a blockchain fork, a crypto exchange, or a pruned node? Very simple. And I'll give you a hint. These are regularly being hacked nowadays because they hold huge amounts of crypto. They are very juicy targets for hackers. So is it bridges, forks, exchanges, or nodes? Very simple. I hope every single person gets this right. So what is it that takes a type of crypto, locks it as a deposit, and then mints an equal amount of another crypto? Is it a blockchain bridge, a fork, an exchange, or a pruned node? And the answer coming up on your screen, and I hope everyone gets it. Okay, vast majority got it right. It is a blockchain bridge. Question 15, after which we are going to see our last leaderboard before the final. In which type of blockchain is the validation process controlled by a select set of nodes? EVM compatible blockchains, federated blockchains, permission blockchains, or permissionless? So this is a type of blockchain in which the validation is controlled by selected nodes. Not everybody can do it. Again, look at the names. You'll be able to weed out some options. Is it EVM compatible, federated, permissioned, or permissionless? Fairly simple. 12 odd seconds. Just look at the options. You'll be able to guess the right one. And we've got 3 seconds to go. Okay, so I can see many of you didn't get this. So, well, EVM compatible obviously is wrong. That just means anything compatible with the Ethereum virtual machine. Permissionless, obviously, you don't need any permission. Now, permission blockchains are where you can put permissions on what people can and cannot do, but that still doesn't mean the validation process is controlled. Federated blockchains are the ones where validation process is controlled by selected nodes. Now, let's have a look at the leaderboard. Okay, so there's been an upset again, and Atul is back at number 1. So awesome. We're beginning to see this tussle going on. Amazing. So Atul is at number 1 with 950. Uganda is close at 920. Abhishek has suddenly come in into the top 5 at 822. And Ashish is now at 801. And 5th is PRK at 798. Now we have the last 5 questions. Remember, the faster you answer, the more points you get. Now, question 16. Quick answer. Which of these is needed to digitally sign transactions? And I covered this in depth some time ago. So, to send crypto, you need to digitally sign transactions with what? Address, hash algorithm, private key, public key. Come on, extremely simple. It's a lollipop I've given you at the end. All of you have to get this right. And you should get it right in like a second or two. We spoke a lot about this in just a few questions ago. So what do we need to sign transactions? Is it addresses? Is it hash algorithm, private key, or public key? Fairly simple question. I hope everyone gets it right. We've got about 5 seconds to go. And okay. Awesome. And okay, almost everyone got this right. That's amazing. And the answer is private key, sorry. Let's go to the next one. 17. 4 questions to go. Which of these is not true about merged mining? I hope you remember that concept. In merge mining, all involved chains must use the same algorithm. It is also called auxiliary proof of work. It decreases the profitability of mining, and Dogecoin and Litecoin can be merged mined. So out of these 4 options, one of the options is not true. It's false. And you need to pick that one. Again, not so difficult to guess. If you remember what merged mining was, you would immediately be able to understand which of these options is not true. So you have about 5 seconds to go. I hope you get it right. Oh, okay. Majority got it right. So the answer is, obviously, it increases the profitability of mining. So it cannot decrease. That's the wrong answer. Absolutely. That's false. So merge mining is when a miner, by spending the same amount of energy, can mine multiple cryptos or multiple blockchains. So obviously, they all need to use the same algorithm. That system is called auxiliary proof of work, and Dogecoin and Litecoin can be merged. Moving on, third last question, question number 18. Which is not true about Bitcoin's record keeping model? And just a few questions ago, I told you about this when we spoke about Ethereum's record keeping model. Bitcoin uses UTXO. Each transaction spends output from future transactions. Your balance is the sum of unspent transactions, and it is like spending banknotes and getting back change. So out of these, which is not true? That means 3 are correct. Only 1 is wrong. You need to pick that. It'll take you a little time to get it, but we've discussed it. So you should understand which of these is the right one. So 3 seconds to go. Yes, little tough. Okay, I'm really happy a majority got it right. So it says each transaction spends output from future transactions. Obviously, that cannot be true. It has to be something to do with past. So amazing, you guys got it right. Let's move on to second last question. MetaMask is a non-custodial wallet because, and this is super easy, because you control your private key, a third party controls your private key, it's a software wallet, it generates multiple addresses. Really simple. You should get it like within a couple of seconds. So we say that crypto exchanges are custodial. Why? That's the same reason for which we say MetaMask is non-custodial. So what is it? Is it because you control your private key, someone else does, because MetaMask is a software, or because it generates multiple addresses? So 3 seconds to go. Awesome. And a majority got it right. When someone else controls your private key, it's a custodial wallet. When you control it, non-custodial. Now I know all of you are excited for the last question, so let's quickly go there. Last question, get it fast. Privacy can be maintained on the Bitcoin blockchain by what? Coming up on your screens. Adjusting the difficulty regularly, controlling the number of orphan blocks, keeping public keys anonymous, or using secure nodes. Very easy question, absolute lollipop. So privacy can be maintained on the Bitcoin blockchain by which of these four? By adjusting the difficulty level, by controlling the number of orphan blocks, by keeping public keys anonymous, or by using secure nodes. It should be super easy for you to guess. 10 seconds to go. I hope all of you get this right. And don't worry, I'm going to instantly show you the leaderboard. And let's have a look at it. Okay, a majority did get it right. So because public key is how we identify people. So if you keep the public key anonymous, you can maintain privacy. And let's have a look at the final leaderboard. Okay, awesome. So we have Uganda, who's come first with 1,170 points. We have Abhishek Gupta second at 1167. We have Atul Menon third at 1136. We have Keshav fourth at 1135. And we have PRK at 1064. So that's amazing. Vivan, would we be able to pull some of them up online? So the 5 people that are here on the leaderboard, if possible, Vivan, if you could pull them online. And in the meanwhile, let's have a look at some of the other people on the leaderboard. So after this, we have at number 6, Ashish Sabarwal. Then we have Parag, we have SSC, we have Aman, and we have Ritesh. So that's the top 10 list for today. So I'm really happy you guys did pretty well. Awesome. So I'll wait till Vivan pulls you guys online. Let me stop sharing the screen till then. Okay. So I hope you guys enjoyed the questions. So Prakash says the questions are now not no-brainers anymore. Yes, because this is part of the Web3 developer course you're doing. So my presumption was you've actually gone through the courseware so far. And that's something I'm going to obviously ask the first 3. So yes, you guys are live. So whoever the first 3 names, if you guys can just refresh your screens, we'll be able to see you. Prakash's Wi-Fi stopped working in the end. Oh, Prakash, I'm sorry to hear that. But don't worry, we'll do it again soon. Kavita also got disconnected. So I think Uganda is coming online. Uganda, are you? I can't see you.
Yeah, just hi. Am I visible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, hi.
Yes, you are. Hi. So would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I've actually been working in the Android space for 6-7 years now, but I've had an interest in blockchain since 2016. I actually invested some money in a Bitcoin around that time when it was in the 3 to 4 lakh range.
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't have the experience, and I started to do day trading and all, and then I just exited the space.
So did
And
you
then
exit with a profit?
yeah. So I
That's
made
nice.
losses at that point, but then that was also my first experience of how volatile actually the crypto market is. But as a technology, if you see, there are so many use cases for blockchain that even today I don't feel that we're actually trying to solve the right kinds of problems. Like so I see the like people are now like one good thing is that we're having these conversations, and we are getting to know all of these things which are happening in the news, which was not common 3 to 4 years back. So even though we're exposed to more of the downsides of what the crypto world can do, at least the knowledge of this tech can help us come out with products that can actually solve some real world problems. So that's what I think the next few years, 5 to 6 years, will actually see the blockchain space grow a lot, and then hopefully we'll be able to properly use it for one, solving real problems, and then also shift to the mobile space. So that's what, since I've been in the Android and Flutter space for a few years, then I think mobile is the best distributed hardware that we have. So if we can't use blockchain to solve things on the mobile, then I feel there's still some gap that needs to be solved.
That's cool. Have you used the Cello blockchain, which is actually kind of built for mobile, or are you using
So I started
taking sessions online. So
Okay.
before that, I used to do only the trading part. I used to manage funds for my clients as well. But the nuances, I got it through you, Rohas.
Awesome, but it's so amazing that as a VC, you've actually cracked a tech quiz. Huh? That's a very interesting one. That's nice.
No, I love tech actually.
Okay, that's amazing.
But all credit goes to you, Rohas.
All credit goes to you. but very nice, awesome. Nice to see a VC cracking a tech quiz. Would someone else be coming online? Vivan, are the others able to come online? Okay, I'm guessing. Yeah, so you guys have permission. You just have to do a refresh. Yeah, so for all of you, Vivan has given you the permission. So Keshav, Ashish, Atul, Prakash, you just have to refresh. Just refresh your screen and click the go live button, and that's it. You'll be on. Hi Keshav, how are you? So again, I know you, but would you like to introduce yourself to the others?
Yeah, I'm a lawyer by education qualification.
Okay, so amazing.
Right,
so first we see a VC crack the tech quiz, and now we see a lawyer cracking it. Amazing.
I'm learning blockchain and this tech from you, from your videos and everything. So it's an exciting journey for me.
Awesome, amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Would someone else be coming? I think the person who came in third, is that Atul? Yeah, hi Atul, how are you?
Hi Rohas.
Would you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm basically a bioinformatician. I'm into health space nowadays, genomics. So that's why I asked the question about storing large data in the blockchain thing. So yeah, so I'm just I started learning your course and it's going well. And
awesome.
Yeah, looking forward.
Okay, that's really nice, Atul. Congratulations. Yeah. Where are you based?
I'm in London now. I'm working with NHS here.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's nice. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else who's coming online? Yes. Hi, Prakash. How are you?
Hi, Rose.
Would you like to introduce yourself briefly?
Yeah, I'm Prakash and I'm currently blockchain developer intern at Velvet Capital right now, and I am from mechanical background.
Oh,
And
that's amazing.
before joining your course, I knew the uh, languages and thing, but understanding the basics was very difficult. So your course helped me in that because
Awesome.
there were certain things like the basics, nonce, transactions, hashes, all together was very overwhelming. So
Okay. And where are you based? Which city?
I am from Renu Sagar. It's near Varanasi. It's a small town.
Oh, awesome. Nice. That's nice. Okay. Congrats again. Anybody else is coming
Thanks.
online, or I think we're done, right? Awesome. So I hope you guys enjoyed the quiz. And again, now let's continue with this week. And then we'll again do a quiz, most probably next Saturday, but I'll let you guys know in advance. And of course, as always, if you have any questions, you can always connect to me. We have a LinkedIn group for the course. I hope all of you are part of that. I also have a WhatsApp broadcast group I've made, as well as a couple of groups on WhatsApp, but those I think are full. But I hope all of you are part of the LinkedIn group also, so that you can stay connected to each other. And have a nice weekend, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.